Let's proceed, Chief.
No, thanks, Chair. No, I'm left with three. The one of the three questions is another character, General, and I'm taking advantage of the fact that you have been in the public service since 1994, and also you are coming from the security terrain, even in terms of your participation in the struggle. Another character that has emerged over the past few years, very dominant in the police sector, for whatever reasons, is Paul O'Sullivan. Who is this person?
I thought you were going to say it's Mohose.
No, that one is a newcomer.
Paul Sullivan. I think Paul Sullivan is a British citizen originally. I don't know when he came in South Africa and all that kind of thing. Is one person that he plays big. So for some reason, I've never met him, but he really likes to talk about Cele. That's one person that speaks about Cele. One time was giving the history of Cele, where when they were asking where it comes from, what is the history of Cele to be in this line of police. And he said, one time I was a metro police in Durban. He said I was a metro police in Durban. The metro police in Durban, their uniform is nice. By the way, they earn more money than the South African Police Service. The chiefs of metros earn more money than the National Commissioner. That's another thing. There's another awkward thing. That is why this city of Cape Town, where Honorable Cameron belongs, they've taken a lot of members of South African police to Metro, because Metro gives better remuneration than the South African police. Maybe those are things that at a certain given point we'll have to really look at them. Sullivan looks like he's like an octopus. I'm sure you know octopus. Octopus is almost all over and speak about everything, sometimes that he does not know anything about. But it does look like his insecurity. His benchmark life is Bheki Cele, that he took Bheki under. He had some form of security at the airport that Bheki cut off. I'm sure the path of taking Bheki under, it was quite several millions. There. Well, there would be information that it belongs to MI6 and all that kind of thing. But he is such a shady kind of a human being with a very little understanding of matters and very much big of himself. You know, I listened to him. Mkwanazi did say this thing here. I listened to him initially, Sullivan, when he says he was sent by the president to scan a person that was going to be a national commissioner. And he told him about Masimula, and the president went on to employ a wrong person. So I heard him, Kwanazi, saying that Sullivan said so here. I spoke to somebody this morning who was asking where Mkwanazi took the thing, and they said, no, it was said by Sullivan. Sullivan, according to him, is nothing but the god of security world, the god of running the politicians, the god of knowing every and any other thing. So where and how it came about here, I don't know. Maybe for that, it's important to end there. But one that it has, because it's not very much verified, could be said at a later stage. But the guy goes much deeper and much problematic about the matters. She has a version of Auntie Mary, but in a more serious and dangerous way. Auntie Mary does it academically. This one does in security way.
No, thank you. I'm asking because, you would have noticed I asked about Mdluli. I'm now asking about this O'Sullivan because these are people who, from what we hear, whose involvement in our security cluster and the impact of their actions have been very, very devastating.
Just one other thing. He likes his beer, big time.
He likes his beer.
He loves his beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope sooner than later we'll understand what brings them together in that way.
He loves his beer. He hates Kumalo. He hates Masimula. He hates Mkwanas.
Now, on the issue...
Dead.
On the
There's
issue...
no problem with Mkunu.
He has a problem?
Has no
problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the issue, General, of Matlala, Mr. Matlala, when in your statement you indicated that when he sent a message to somebody alerting them that we are going to come and make use of his facility or the place. Now, in that message, he says he referred to you as a business partner and a friend, something that you have firmly disputed in this meeting. Do you think that the possibility also exists that either everything or almost everything or some of what Matlala had told you about Minister Mkunu were simply a constructed lie?
The story told will be forever 50-50 whether truth or lies until it's verified. But my problem here is Matlala says I'll be arrested because of this document. He says, here is a document sent to me by Mkunu/Mohotsi. So that then gives me the understanding that is correspondence. You could go for the investigation and find that he got the document from somewhere. But if it's true that it was sent through Minister Mkunu/Mohotsi, they would have to explain, to say, what was the role of that document playing in their correspondence, except saying, look at them. They are not clean as they are. I'm going to find them.
No, but I'm saying, I know that Honorable Member may want to make a follow-up. I'm saying, General, in terms of, this is a man you now have presented evidence before us, that this is a man who lies without being under pressure. Because when he sends a message to the third party, that please arrange for the place because my friend and a business partner is coming, that's lying without pressure. Why is it difficult for you to concede that it may very well be that in some of his assertion to you, he was acting in a way that he subsequently acted to you when he lied about you being a friend and being a business partner?
It's exactly the point I'm making, Honorable Member, to say the document that is sent to him, and on those bases, the minister argues or Mohotsi that the action will be taken, tells me that there is such a communication. That's why I'm saying 50-50, that there are things that could be lies. But when it comes to this one, only one thing that will make me change my mind on this one. If the document was not sent by them, but it's a document that I don't think that Matlala would have an issue of hunting and having that document. It's a document that is in the circle of security matters. Indeed, it might happen that is lying about Cele and Zuma and all that kind of stuff. That is why, when Mr. Mchunu says, that's lie, and that's why I'm saying that, it didn't say who's lying, Mr. Mchunu. It might have been Cele lying, might have been Matlala lying, it might have been him lying, Mr. Mchunu, because he might have said those things. So there is somewhere the truth. But if you say to me, this is not the truth, I would not have an issue to say I agree with it. But when it comes to I'm sure you did see on that one, I'll have a little bit of a problem believing it with ease.
Honorable Malim.
General, what is interesting is that at the Madlanga Commission, Witness C says when they were raiding Matlala's house, he asked them that the wife must leave because they found him with the wife. The wife must leave, and then he remained with them. And he started throwing names that I know so-and-so, I'm working with so-and-so. And coincidentally, he told them that I've got a relationship with Mchunu and I'm going to see Mchunu. We have got an appointment and all of that, which is what you told us, that is what he told you, that he knows this person and they've got some working arrangement through Mkhotsi and all of that. Will that be a coincidence or a confirmation to an extent that there seems to be something happening between Mchunu and Matlala? And what is more interesting is that he doesn't say anything about you to those police. He doesn't say, I've got this or that with Cele. He says, Mchunu this, Mchunu that. And then he puts Sibia as well in the whole thing, that they work with Sibia and exactly what we've been hearing here. What's your comment about that?
Well, this is the 6th. The rate is on the 6th of December. Definitely, it would have not come across with me. Much later in December, maybe there is one truthful thing that he would have said. But, Chairperson, I don't want to go beyond honorable member of things from other sources. So, as the honorable member has asked, why I would not concede that is lying when he says, I'll work with you, provided you don't work with Cele and Zuma on this project. It is online. It is online of politics. That thing of working with you in the project of becoming a president or a deputy president. But as I've said, that I would concede if I'm convinced that it was lies. But for the fact that there are other sources that come with that, so we'll have to look at it much closer. It did tell me about the payment. It did tell me and showed me the payment of the team that were argued that it was paid on behalf of Mchunu coming here. Their flights, their hotels, and all that kind of thing. So I know. So maybe one person that we need to look at very closely here would be Mkhotsi. Mkhotsi, with those screenshots, was asking a lot of 12 rand, 7 rand. or I mean 12,000, 7,000 and all that. He was making a lot of collection on that. Did that arrive where it was meant for on behalf of the minister? Or, but as I agree with you, the name keeps cropping up, and that should be a worry.
Honorable Sangun.
Thank you, Chair. Not quickly, General, just on this thing that if we were to consider whether Mr. Matlala could have perhaps maybe lied, let's say, about him and the minister and Brown, did you not consider to ask him why he didn't go to Minister Mchunu, who he has such a very good relationship with, and he's funding his presidential ambitions? Why didn't he go and report to Minister Mchunu that Sibiya is making him do what Sibiya asked him to do, to lie? You didn't think to ask him that maybe, General?
Well, Sibiya was lying about Khumalo. Is that the understanding? That Sibiya did not lie about the minister. He lied. He said Matlala must write the affidavit against Khumalo. Then I don't know why the reason that he would go to minister to say that Sibiya says I must lie. I think it was more of the police issue. Maybe that question would be why it didn't go to the national commissioner or other people. I don't know why, and I don't see the reason why he would go to the minister.
I've got only one question now, but you see why I could not finish early, as I had committed to Honorable Matthias and others, because my questions are provoking further interventions. One last question. I hope, yeah. General, it's my last question. You know, Matlala, this character, Matlala, you made a very good point earlier on that, and maybe you were also answering that question jokingly when one of the members was saying something about you being associated with a character like that, and you made reference to the fact that you are a retiree, you are no longer a minister. If you were a minister, you were going to have to come back and declare in an event where you had made use of the facilities of that person. Now, and I think we all have understood that. But besides the fact that you are a retired Minister General, you are not a retired leader of our movement and our people. And me and you know that our movement has historically prided itself as a parliament of the people of South Africa because of not just itself, but also the conduct of its leaders. Don't you think that if you look at it now with the benefit of hindsight, that your association, in whatever kind it assumes, acquaintance, or there's a word that was used here, in whatever kind that it assumes, don't you think that it does have a negative impact on the standing of the African National Congress? And don't you think in the context like that, you are contributing indirectly in diminishing the standing of the African National Congress by being associated with such characters? Thanks, Chair. That was my last question.
Chairperson, when I met Matlala, he was not arrested. I did not even know that he's a wanted for the things that are there. By the way, many of the leaders of Matlala, leaders of the movement, have been seen with Matlala. I hope you have seen his photo with the president. I hope you have, yeah. It's public, is there. And I guess many people would not know. And as I would not have known then, but I repeat of what I said. Taking what I know now, I would not behave as I behaved before I know who he is and what kind of a character.
Bangazita.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm actually prompted by the response of the General, because, you know, one would have actually expected that the General, having been the Minister, you know, would have some kind of access to intelligence, you know, information. I find it very difficult to understand and accept Tuguti Umatlala could actually invade the corridors of leadership of this country without, you know, having been vetted by some security agencies, be it criminal, South African, security, whatever. I can't accept that. I find it very difficult whether or not we still have a intelligence capacity as a country. If not, then we are very vulnerable. Thank you.
General, do you have any comment to make?
Well, the comment is that what I said yesterday, to say is not the terrain of the minister to know the intelligence world. It's not. Somebody raised a question about counterintelligence. I just imagine the minister calling the counterintelligence. That would be worst. But with the president and those structures, remember, president has access to all these structures. The state security, for instance, the national commissioner and the head of intelligence in the police can be called by the president without telling me. If they want, they can tell me. If they don't want, they cannot tell me. The state security could be. And I think even the DI, president can have an access to DI. So if you ask me that question, I will take it that such a character would have been known and in the radar of these structures. And at a certain given point, having said, Mr. President, there is such issue with this person. Has that happened? I don't know. Maybe it has happened. Maybe it has been after some time. But there is one problem about photos. It's a serious problem. I'm not sure whether... I know one person that they take a lot of photos with his Julius, Honorable Malem. And then
I don't have a photo with Matlala. Never.
Well, at least Usbaruako. So, and then these photos, you find them moving around. So, and you really say, did I take this one? You know this Matlala issue. There is a photo that I've taken recently. I was not even aware that one person has changed here. So now, when he moves around and you see that there are changes, you realize, yeah, man. So at this level, it can happen when people. But I agree with you that at the top level, there must be people that are protecting to say, but you can't take it without shouting. So this picture can't be there and all that kind of thing. So I agree with you on that one.
Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add on to the Chief Whip's comment, not only does it negatively tarnish the image of the political party to which you belong, it also sends a painful message. Although we are discussing things here at a very high level, it also sends a very painful message to the mother down there whose child has just stolen from her. When you sleep in the hotel of someone that is allegedly embroiled in drug cartels, it means that you almost become indirectly a beneficiary of what we go through in our communities. So when we look at you as a leader, and we expect your conduct to be of such. I accept what you said earlier on, that your relationship, in hindsight right now, when you look at it, it was a mistake. It should never have happened. But I just thought that I would emphasize how the public feels, how we as mothers and as people that's living with this feel when we see you benefiting from our pain and from the monies that our children steal from us. Thank you, Minister.
Honorable Chair, is exactly the point that human beings will make mistakes. You come back and say it happened. I'm sure those mothers would have that question. But when I said, I didn't know this person is, now I know and it won't happen, I believe that they would understand. Thanks.
SC.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. Just a few questions, General. How much did you know about Kabindi working for IPID? And would it have been at the time when McBride was the head of IPID? Around 2017?
Around 2017, I know that I was working for IPID, but I was not in the security establishment in 2017. I was doing one of my top jobs, which was the Deputy Minister of Agriculture.
And subsequently, when you became Minister in 2018?
I think by then he was not there, either suspended or whatever the issue. But I think he was not working by then.
You're talking about in Kabinde, not
yes.
McBride?
Kabinde.
Kabinde. And
McBride? I'm asking about McBride.
No, I'm asking about Kabinde. Kabinde, do you know that he was, and I speak subject to correction, but I heard that he was also involved or embroiled with some issue with O'Sullivan. Did you hear anything about that or know anything about that?
Well, I know that there were issues between them. But mostly the issues I know is that Sullivan worked closely with McBride. Maybe more than Kabinde. I wouldn't know exactly the involvement of Kabinde, but I know that there was some common touch.
So the common touch between O'Sullivan and McBride resulted in Kabinde either being suspended or dismissed or resigning?
Well, I don't know the reason of suspension of Kabinde.
Now, IPID investigates police misconduct. So that would commence with some complaint about the conduct of a police officer, either a member of the public or a colleague or a whistleblower. Would it be, in your experience, having been a minister for so long and obviously interacting, I suppose, with IPID from time to time, that two officers of IPID would go and visit a complainant to discuss the case or maybe take a statement or ask for further information?
We talk of McBride and Kabinde.
Well, generally,
visiting.
I'm going to ask you something specific, but I'm just asking generally.
I don't know why at that level, especially the head of the institution, will also visit me at home. Yeah. I might be, if there is any form of respect, I might be visited by some officers, but it can't be the head of. It can't be Masimula coming to my place to take the statement and all that. I'm sure he might send some officers to go and do this. So to answer your question, it does sound unusual.
Or does it depend on the profile of the person or some influence that the person might have, either as a high-ranking officer or a high-ranking or well-known politician? Would that-
Even so, I would not expect the head of the institution to come and visit at that level. That might be the influence, but I think the influence can only say, as a head, I'm sending you, Junior, to go and see this so and so at his place. But the whole head going there and taking somebody going there, it does sound unusual.
So just your comment then, because the specific case is in 2017 when a chairperson can't handle this question anyway, it seems. In 2017, McBride and Kabinde visited the home of Minister Mchunu. At the time, he was still unemployed, as it were. Yet you will recall he was a premier, then he was removed, and it was in that period afterwards in 2017 when one of his bodyguards or someone close to him, a protector, was killed, and he then lodged a complaint because he was accused of being involved in it. And then McBride and Kabinde visited his home.
I've heard about that visit, but I would just wonder why it would have been the head of the institution and Kabinde and the McBride taking Kabinde going there. I really would formulate no opinion why they would have gone there.
And then he appoints a private investigator to become involved, presumably to almost play an oversight role and ensure that the police officers involved do their work. And Kabinde is then sent to see the Hawks because Senzo Mchunu alleged that the Hawks were harassing him. What do you make of all that?
Harassing who? Hawks were harassing who?
They allegedly harassing Minister Mchunu.
So he sends the PI, private investigator.
No, he doesn't send the PI. And Kabinde, after the visit by him and McBride to him, Kabinde goes to the Hawks to speak to the Hawks. Whatever, we don't know what he said to the Hawks or asked the Hawks or told the Hawks. But it is because Minister Mchunu is now complaining that they are harassing him. What's your comment on this kind of conduct or this kind of...
What audacity Kabinde had to go to the Hawks and tell them who to work with or not?
Yes, no, I think I just want to understand how that would work when it's the independent complaints arm of the police visiting a complainant, and then from the complainant going to another arm of the police, the Hawks, who are supposed to be independent, and going to speak to them about harassing a complainant to IPID.
Kabinde was still in IPID then?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what form that Minister Mchunu then approached the matter. But remember, private citizens of South Africa, they have a right to approach IPID if they feel they are harassed by the police. That will include That will include no. The complaint about Hawks does not go to IPID. It goes to the Hawks judge. It doesn't go to IPID.
But I think at that time there wouldn't have been a judge. I think it was quite fairly recent.
So then, if the private citizen is harassed by the police or Hawks, then if there were no judges, they had a right to go and investigate the allegation, not to tell the Hawks to stop or not, because to investigate, and the police or the Hawks would say, we had a case to pursue, and then it ends there with the IPID must allow the police to continue to do their work. So I don't understand the modules here, why it would happen that way. Was it a courtesy visit to say stop it, or was it investigation? I wouldn't know.
Thank you, General. In your capacity as Minister of Police during your time from 2018 through to June 2024, did you at any stage interfere with any police investigations, live dockets, or interact with the National Public Prosecution Service at all in relation to any case?
No, I've never been part of dockets of the investigators. Under my job as a National Commissioner and the Minister of Police, dockets don't come close to me.
So you don't at all, when you interact with the police, for example, we know that when you were minister, you appear on television regularly at the scene of a crime because of your concern as the Minister of Police, and as you told us in your consultation, you're an elected office bearer, official, and the people, when something happens like the tavern killings, when those youngsters died in the tavern, you go to the scene of the crime because the community are not asking, where's the National Commissioner, where's the Provincial Commissioner? They want to know, where's the Minister?
In many times, you will go there because the communities are making that call to say, where is the minister? And the member sitting behind you, Honorable James, will also remember that there were many calls, especially to Westbury, where we'll go and explain. Places like Enyobeni, people will send, will listen to them in the morning as kids have died the last night, where is the minister and all that. I've found out with my work that people don't expect National Commissioner to come and explain as communists. They expect politicians, the minister, to come and explain what has happened. And they'll even further argue to say, you are a public representative. We elected you. We did not elect the commissioner. Their job, commissioners, is to work on the crime scene, arrest and investigate. The job of the politicians is to link up and talk with the people there.
Now, the reason why I asked you that is that in many of these scenes, crime scenes that you have visited, surely you would maintain an interest in those cases, like the Saldanha case, the tavern case in East London. Those cases you would maintain an interest. But would that interest, you'd maintain an interest. But yes, isn't it so also that from time to time you would have more than an interest in the case? That you would either somehow become involved in the continued or further investigation of the case, or the prosecution of the case, or whether or not the case should be prosecuted?
Well, some of those cases, the communities, the relatives, the parents do need the ongoing kind of briefing. So what you would do is that the investigators, they take you through how far have they gone. Not about the investigation, but about the level that they've covered to try to resolve the case, and then you report back. But at no stage, as a minister, maybe as a national commissioner you might, but no stage as a minister where you say, can you show me the docket? Let me see this docket. How far have you gone? What are you written in the docket? That is completely out of the terrain of the minister.
Or once a docket is actually taken to the prosecutor to prosecute the case, you wouldn't become involved in the decision whether or not to prosecute?
No.
I ask this again in the context of the tragic, the first tragic death of Anele Tembi and the
tragic of?
Anele,
Okay.
and then the murder of AKA.
Okay.
Were you not involved in either or both of those matters?
In murdering.
No,
I
no, no,
wasn't
not
involved in murdering.
not perpetrating the crime. I'm saying in your interest, they were both very high-profile cases.
For information, SC, I was bombarded heavily of not attending the crime scene of AKA. Everybody was asking, where is he? We didn't see. He knows what happened and all that. Instead, I went to see the parents here in Johannesburg. I visited the parents and I spoke with the parents and all that. Maybe today I can take also the opportunity, because in the social medias and everybody said, AKA father snapped me and they shook hands from Kwanazi in court. That day, I took the flight with AKA father from Cape Town. We spoke from there. We spoke at the airport, and we agreed that we'll meet at the courthouse. So, had no business then to come and shake the hand when we have met that early in the morning, when we moved together from all the way from Cape Town to here. So I wanted to make that. But I had a lot of a link. I had a lot of a link with the family, with AK. But for that fact that the father would phone and ask, have we found anything? So now and again, I would ask from the provincial commissioner to find out, is there any positive story that we can tell the family? One thing about that case, it was quite a difficult case to investigate. They would tell you things that they are close, but never reach where they were supposed to reach. But nonetheless, you'll be told that we're still working on it, so that you are able to let the family know.
No, I'm just. But is it your evidence that you never became involved at all in the investigation of the case, the decision to prosecute or not to prosecute? You're not involved at all.
Case of AKA?
Well, both. I think in the case of Anele, there was, I think there is or was an inquest.
Nene. Which other case?
Anele.
Anele.
Yes.
Or the daughter?
Yeah, I think the
daughter of Tembe?
Yeah.
No. I was never involved in a prosecution, in investigation, and with the prosecutor, no. I would have been briefed.
No, I just thought that
by those that were involved.
Yeah, that while we have the opportunity of having you here to ask, is that I'd been requested to ask about it. As a minister, would you be privy to a work plan that is being, an organizational work plan that's being designed in the South African Police Service? You know that there's an organizational plan that is, I think, every 3 or 4 years, it's revised and so on. And I'm asking that in the context of a work study of 2019, which I actually want to ask you whether you knew about it. It was attached to Sabia's affidavit, and then more recently in Minister Mkunu's affidavit, he attached a 2024 work study, which one can see from the various signatures of some senior officials. You know that sequence until at the end the National Commissioner signs off on it. Whether you were aware of that work study, because he relies on the 2024 work study to demonstrate that the PKTT was going to be disestablished or dismantled.
Well, you could be privy, but it depends on the National Commissioner. There is no obligation that they come and show you, but because is organogram of the organization that you finally politically had. The National Commissioner would show that this is what we have, deputy, the units, the divisions, and all that kind of stuff. But it remains his or her territory on that one. So if as it develops, can show you, but at a certain given point when it passes, he or she can pass it without your concurrence or disagreement.
So it's a purely operational matter.
Exactly.
And when it is shared with you, they would come and say, Minister, this has now been reorganized and this is now what the structure looks like. But it's not to consult, to ask you for your input.
It's not for consultation. It's just showing you. It's prerogative of the.
Now, I just want to ask you. There's because in this work study, there's an which Minister Mkunu relies on to justify this directive of 31 December, amongst others. We see that there's a number of by way of introduction, that these task teams that I'm going to mention, some of them, are criticized because they're out of control, their members spend a lot of money, and they're not operating within the confines of the budget and so on. And the teams that are mentioned, the foreign vehicle team, the multiple trio task team, the narcotics team, the kidnap and ransom team, the extortion team, and then there's the PKTT is not specifically mentioned, but there's reference to a political murders team, and there's about 10 or 12 different task teams. Now, this is a document that was signed off actually eventually in 2025 by the National Commissioner. But by the time you vacated office as minister, these task teams, it appears, were still in operation.
Yes, they were, but most interestingly, why then December 31st you cancel one when they're all in the same line of problem? So why do you cancel one?
Well, that's why I mentioned it to you. On what basis, without any reasons, do you single out one of these task teams?
So there are almost 10 there.
Yeah, and I know we're under time pressure, but if you look at the organogram, that's one of the reasons that Minister Mkunu gives, because you won't see them listed in the organogram.
But why do you cancel one when there are 10?
Yeah. And to your knowledge, the other 9 or 10 or 12, are they still in operation? to your knowledge?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if those task teams are there. But it would have been nice if the 31st letter would have said, deal with all this and count 10. Why one?
Yeah. Because it seems to me, that these are dedicated, multidisciplinary task teams, for the very reason that that particular area where crime is being committed has been identified for special attention. Would that be the case? Like extortion, murder, kidnapping?
There will never be time, I see, where there is no task team established. For instance, in South Africa, kidnapping is a new thing. Extortion is a new thing. So you could not have had that thing in the organogram because extortion is very new. It started here in Cape Town a few years ago. Kidnapping, it came from Mozambique a few years ago and all that. And unfortunately, both of them, they need a lot of skill and dedicated people and machinery. For instance, kidnapping needs a lot of equipment of doing different things on it. And those equipment will take money to be there and all that. They are new things, they are specialized, so they'll have to put money on it. There will be other things some other time that was not part of it that will have to be policed. That is not in the organogram, but we'll have to put them as a task team in response. And then some of them, those task team will have to end because maybe that problem has ended. So it's going to be a running target, this thing of task team, but permanently there as coming and going. But the question for me still stands that if there are these 10 task teams, whether exist or not, why on that particular day cancel one?
It seems to me that the National Commissioner, presumably in consultation with his deputy commissioners for the very different sections like policing and so on, can establish a task team at any time for a specific purpose.
For instance, extortion and I think those are the youngest. Extortion and the kidnapping team are the youngest to respond to the new crime in the market, because those are two new crimes in the market.
Doesn't have to be on the organogram.
No. Otherwise, if we wait for organogram, that takes about 3 to 5 years. Yeah. The criminals will be laughing all the way to the bank, waiting for organogram. Yeah. And ask people, why don't you arrest? No, organogram is coming.
So although the PKTT was established to serve a particular purpose, it was a task team. This team continued to exist and to be funded from the police budget, and according to your evidence, it's still in existence.
Well, I don't know if it was funded from the police alone. I don't know if prosecutors that are dedicated, they were paid by the police. I don't know. Maybe justice will help us one day, that those dedicated prosecutors, for instance, there will have to be an extra money for special courts. There will be an extra money for magistrates and prosecutors that go there a little bit out of their work. So I would have loved to know who pays for those. But this money we talk about is paying for one component, and that component is the police.
And that is why you had the interministerial committee.
That is why I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with other ministers, so that they look after their specific activities in their departments.
Now, I would have thought, or most people would have thought, that the establishment of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption was welcomed. But from the evidence of Lieutenant General Kwanazi, and it also appears to be the case from your evidence, that there seems to be, let me put it neutrally, some kind of issues against IDEC, especially in the wake of their arrest of Lieutenant General Kumalo. What exactly is your complaint about IDEC?
No, I would not complain about the work of the IDEC, but I can't have a structure, such a powerful structure, that has no oversight. That will be my main complaint. That up to this point, I don't know any form of oversight, like the iPad with the police, like the judge with the Hawks. So otherwise, you'll find the people running amok without anybody checking them and telling them to fall in line.
But you're not able to comment on the allegation that for some reason or other, Lieutenant General Kumalo was, of course, he was arrested and he appeared in court.
Well, that's a story that is on the air. The Honorable Member Ngola yesterday said he will have to find the letter. But that's a story I know, that the letter was written from the office of the minister to deal with this matter. If that is the case, it's absolutely out of order. If it could be established, I think it's a matter that will have to be corrected and take a very serious corrective measures on it. That the office of the minister cannot write the law enforcement and enforcing agency to say do it. It can't be.
Then just a last aspect relating to the terms of reference of this honourable committee to make recommendations to Parliament on possible reforms and remedial measures, because it's quite clear that there are a number of problems, and I think you've you've addressed them very well. But some people may be concerned because the Parliament will also have to adopt an approach, and we've got a constitution. It must be done in accordance with the constitution, must be concerned about the right to bail. General Nkonazi, who seems to share this approach, he complains about the trade unions getting people off their disciplinary hearings. He complains about the media using allegedly confidential or information and putting it in the papers. And you also seem to have a problem with our system of parole.
There was a famous statement here that was associated with me, shoot to kill.
Yes.
So even on the road, when the young people see me, they'll say, shoot to kill. I have made a challenge, and I want to repeat here. Show me where Cele says so. Either in a print form or electronic. I've never uttered that statement, that shoot to kill.
Well, thankfully, I didn't repeat it, yeah.
Yeah. It has been interpreted from my stance to say police cannot die with the guns in their hands. And I stand by that. SC, there are two ways of policing in South Africa. You police the masses that have a right to complain, have a right to march and all that kind of stuff. And you cannot use force to those people. That's why you train POP, public order policing, to go and deal with those people that are legitimately complaining about those things. There are those that they plan to eliminate whoever on their way as they go to do their work. Those people like cash in transit. Therefore, that's why you develop your NIU, your TROT, your special task force. So the policing will be forever to approach what is a danger in front of you. Is an ordinary South Africans demanding the rights that they should have, and you police them as such? Or are the criminals that they want to take over the systems and make life difficult for everybody? So I always look at the tennis players. The harder you hit, the harder you return. That's how you play the tennis.
No, sometimes you play drop shot.
That's how you play
And
the
you
tennis.
just play it
So
over the net.
we are not going to take the POP and give them rubber bullets and give them water tanks and say there is cash ice there. Rush, here are the rubber bullets. We're not going to do that. Again, we're not going to take a special task force and say, look, there are people complaining about electricity and water there. Take your life ammunition. So there'll be always these categories, and police must be enabled to respond accordingly.
So a flexible approach depending on the nature of the threat or the crime being committed. If you're dealing with armed robbers intent on committing a heist, then you deal with them accordingly.
I love my
You
term.
don't send in public order police.
I love my term accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, General. And again, thank you for your cooperation. And you're the one witness that we interviewed. We didn't see any lawyers in the room. And so thank you very much. And your evidence has been extremely helpful to inform our terms of reference. Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chair, committee members.
Okay. Thank you so much, SC and your team. Thank you so much, General, for the time that you have created to be with us here. And I want to take the opportunity and thank honorable members. Honorable Skosana, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the witness, General Minister. He complained earlier, Chair, to say, I'm the one who brought him here. It's not true. It's so I just want to say to you, nothing personal. I know he was angry a bit, that perhaps, as he said yesterday, that I'm the one who called him here. It's our work, Minister. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thanks myself. No, I did not call the lawyers because I thought things that have to do with the truth and only truth. It would be worse to call Nomvaba to be my lawyer. It would be really worse. Having said so, I did not get the opportunity, but I'm jealous. There was a big debate here about the devolution of powers. I want to repeat, I felt sorry that you put the operative to the political debate. Maybe it can be debated at the next time, but it was unfair, very unfair, to put the police officer to debate the law. Police officers don't debate the law; they enforce the law. They don't debate it; they don't develop it; they enforce it. So I would say so. Thank you.
Look, honorable members, we were at a point where we were thanking all of you for your participation in this week's proceedings. to our staff that coordinates our activities and keep the public informed about the work that we do here. We want to thank you so much. And I see honorable members also bring their staff from their respective parties. We also want to thank them for the support that they give you. We want to thank you so much for that. We are resuming next week, Tuesday. The starting time will be 11 o'clock. Yeah, it will be 11 o'clock on Tuesday. Yeah, you won't be here in those. So I always get disappointed when we come to the end of the meetings, and there is nothing I can do. Even if I want to continue with the meeting, there is nobody raising a hand. I don't have any choice but to call off the
Point
meeting.
of order, Chair.
The meeting.
Our guest is asking a question, Chair. You must answer that question,
The meeting
Chair.
stand adjourned.
But Chair, there's a question from our guest, Chair.
We will meet next week, Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Chair, uthi ndo sinenkinga ekhaya yini? Makhanda.